A Doll's House.
A play by Henrik Ibsen.
Act 1. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org.
Part of Torvald Helmer, performed by David Muncaster. www.davidmuncaster.com.
Part of Nora, read by Elizabeth Klett.
Part of Dr. Rank, performed by Andy from Invernon, Scotland.
Part of Mrs. Lind, read by Miranda Stinson.
Part of Krogstad, performed by Jordan Schneider of New York City at teenfreedom.org.
Part of The Children, performed by Alethea, Stillwater, Oklahoma.
The part of Anne the nurse is performed by Alana Jordan.
Part of A Housemaid, performed by Anna Simon.
Part of The Porter, performed by M.B.
Narrated by Alethea, Stillwater, Oklahoma. Act 1. Scene. A room furnished comfortably and tastefully, but not extravagantly. At the back, a door to the right leads to the entrance hall. Another to the left leads to Helmer's study. Between the doors stands a piano. In the middle of the left-hand wall is a door, and beyond it a window. Near the window are a round table, armchairs, and a small sofa. In the right-hand wall, at the farther end, another door, and on the same side, nearer the footlights, a stove, 2 easy chairs, and a rocking chair. Between the stove and the door, a small table. Engravings on the walls, a cabinet with china and other small objects, a small bookcase with well-bound books. The floors are carpeted, and a fire burns in the stove. It is winter. A bell rings in the hall. Shortly afterward the door is heard to open. Enter Nora, humming a tune and in high spirits. She is in outdoor dress and carries a number of parcels. These she lays on the table to the right. She leaves the outer door open after her, and through it is seen a porter who is carrying a Christmas tree in a basket, which he gives to the maid who has opened the door.
Hide the Christmas tree carefully, Helen. Be sure the children do not see it until this evening when it is dressed.
To the porter, taking out her purse.
How much?
6pence.
There is a shilling. No, keep the change.
The porter thanks her and goes out. Nora shuts the door. She is laughing to herself as she takes off her hat and coat. She takes a packet of macaroons from her pocket and eats 1 or 2, then goes cautiously to her husband's door and listens.
Yes, he is in.
Still humming, she goes to the table on the right. Calls out from his room.
Is that my little lark twittering out there?
Busy opening some of the parcels.
Yes, it is.
Is it my little squirrel bustling about?
Yes.
When did my squirrel come home?
Just now.
Puts the bag of macaroons into her pocket and wipes her mouth.
Come in here, Torvald, and see what I have bought.
Don't disturb me.
A little later he opens the door and looks into the room, pen in hand.
What did you say? All these things? Has my little spendthrift been wasting money again?
Yes, but Torvald, this year we really can let ourselves go a little. This is the first Christmas that we have not needed to economize.
Still, you know we can't spend money recklessly.
Yes, Torvald. We may be a wee bit more reckless now, mayn't we? Just a tiny wee bit? You are going to have a big salary and earn lots and lots of money.
Yes, after the new year, but then it will be a whole quarter before salary is due.
Pooh! We can borrow until then.
Nora.
Goes up to her and takes her playfully by the ear.
The same little featherhead. Suppose now that I borrowed £50 today, and you spent it all in the Christmas week, and then on New Year's Eve a slate fell on my head and killed me, and...
Putting her hands over his mouth.
Oh, don't say such horrid things.
Still, suppose that happened, what then?
If that were to happen, I don't suppose I should care whether I owed money or not.
Yes, but what about the people who had lent it?
They? Who would bother about them? I should not know who they were.
That is like a woman. But seriously, Nora, you know what I think about that. No debt, no borrowing. There can be no freedom or beauty about a home life that depends on borrowing and debt. We two have kept bravely on the straight road so far, and we will go on the same way for the short time longer that there needs to be any struggle.
Moving towards the stove.
As you please, Torvald.
Following her.
Come, come, my little skylark must not droop her wings. What is this? Is my little squirrel out of temper?
Taking out his purse.
Nora, what do you think I've got here?
Turning round quickly.
Money!
There you are.
Gives her some money.
Do you think I don't know what a lot is wanted for housekeeping at Christmas time?
Counting.
10 shillings, a pound, 2 pounds. Thank you, Torvald. That will keep me going for a long time.
Indeed it must.
Yes, it will. Oh, but come here and let me show you what I have bought. And all so cheap. Look, here's a new suit for Ivar, and a sword, and a horse and a trumpet for Bob, and a doll and Dolly's bedstead for Emmy. They are very plain, but anyway she will soon break them in pieces. And here are dress lengths and handkerchiefs for the maids. Old Anne ought really to have something better.
And what is in this parcel?
Crying out.
No, you mustn't see that until this evening.
Very well. But tell me, you extravagant little person, what would you like for yourself?
For myself? Oh, I'm sure I don't want anything.
But you must. Tell me something reasonable that you would particularly like to have.
No, I really can't think of anything. Unless, Torvald.
Well?
Playing with his coat buttons, and without raising her eyes to his.
If you really want to give me something, you might...
Well, out with it.
Speaking quickly.
You might give me money, Torvald. Only just as much as you can afford, and then one of these days I will buy something with it.
But Nora...
Oh, do, dear Torvald, please do. Then I will wrap it up in beautiful gilt paper and hang it on the Christmas tree. Wouldn't that be fun?
What are little people called that are always wasting money?
Spendthrifts, I know. Let us do as you suggest, Torvald, and then I shall have time to think what I am most in want of. That is a very sensible plan, isn't it?
Smiling.
Indeed it is. That is to say, if you really were to save out of the money I give you, and then buy something for yourself. But if you spend it all on housekeeping and any number of unnecessary things, then I nearly have to pay up again.
Oh, but Torvald...
You can't deny it, my little Nora.
Puts his arm around her waist.
It's a sweet little spendthrift, but she uses up a deal of money. One could hardly believe how expensive such little persons are.
It's a shame to say that. I do really save all I can.
Laughing.
Very true. All you can. But you can't save anything.
Smiling quietly and happily.
You haven't any idea how many expenses we skylarks and squirrels have, Torvald.
You are an odd little soul, very like your father. You always find some new way of wheedling money out of me, and as soon as you've got it, it seems to melt in your hands. You never know where it's gone. Still, one must take you as you are. It is in the blood, for indeed it is true that you can inherit these things, Nora.
I wish I had inherited many of Papa's qualities.
And I would not wish you to be anything but just what you are, my little skylark. But do you know, it strikes me that you are looking rather, what shall I say, rather uneasy today.
Do I?
You do, really. Look straight at me.
Looks at him.
Well?
Wagging his finger at her.
Hasn't Miss Sweet-Tooth been breaking rules in town today?
No. What makes you think that?
Hasn't she paid a visit to the confectioner's?
No, I assure you, Torvald.
Not been nibbling sweets?
No, certainly not.
Not even taken a bite at a macaroon or two?
No, Torvald, I assure you, really.
There. Of course, I was only joking.
Going to the table on the right.
I should not think of going against your wishes.
No, I'm sure of that. Besides, you gave me your word.
Going up to her.
Keep your little Christmas secrets to yourself, my darling. They will all be revealed tonight when the Christmas tree is lit, no doubt.
Did you remember to invite Dr. Rank?
No, but there is no need. As a matter of course, he will come to dinner with us. However, I will ask him when he comes in the morning. I have ordered some good wine. Nora, you can't think how I am looking forward to this evening.
Oh, so am I. And how the children will enjoy themselves, Torvald.
It is splendid to feel that one has perfectly safe employment and a big enough income. It's delightful to think of it, isn't it?
It's wonderful.
Do you remember last Christmas? For a full 3 weeks beforehand, you shut yourself up every evening long after midnight, making ornaments for the Christmas tree, and all the other fine things that were to be a surprise to us. It was the dullest 3 weeks I ever spent.
I didn't find it dull.
Smiling.
But there was precious little result, Nora.
Oh, you shouldn't tease me about that again. How could I help the cats going in and tearing everything to pieces?
Of course you couldn't, poor little girl. You had the best intentions to please us all, and that's the main thing. But it is a good thing that our hard times are over.
Yes, it is really wonderful.
This time I needn't sit here and be dull all alone, and you needn't ruin your dear eyes and pretty little hands.
Clapping her hands.
No, Torvald, I needn't any longer, need I? It's wonderfully lovely to hear you say so.
Taking his arm.
Now, I will tell you how I have been thinking we ought to arrange things, Torvald, as soon as Christmas is over.
A bell rings in the hall.
There's the bell.
She tidies the room a little.
There's someone at the door. What a nuisance.
If it's a caller, remember I'm not at home.
In the doorway.
A lady to see you, ma'am. A stranger.
Ask her to come in.
To Helmer.
The doctor came at the same time, sir.
Did he go straight into my room?
Yes, sir.
Helmer goes into his room. The maid ushers in Mrs. Lynde, who is in travelling dress, and shuts the door. In a dejected and timid voice.
How do you do, Nora?
Doubtfully.
How do you do?
You don't recognize me, I suppose.
No, I don't know. Yes, to be sure, I seem to.
Suddenly.
Yes! Christine! Is it really you?
Yes, it is I.
Oh, Christine! To think of my not recognizing you! And yet how could I?
In a gentle voice.
How you have altered, Christine.
Yes, I have indeed. In 9, 10 long years.
Is it so long since we met? I suppose it is. The last 8 years have been a happy time for me, I can tell you. And so now you have come into the town and have taken this long journey in winter. That was plucky of you.
I arrived by steamer this morning.
To have some fun at Christmas time, of course. How delightful! We will have such fun together. But take off your things. You are not cold, I hope.
Helps her.
Now we will sit down by the stove and be cozy. No, take the armchair. I will sit here in the rocking chair.
Takes her hands.
Now you look like your old self again. It was only the first moment. You are a little paler, Christine, and perhaps a little thinner.
And much, much older, Nora.
Perhaps a little older. Very, very little. Certainly not much.
Stops suddenly and speaks seriously.
What a thoughtless creature I am, chattering away like this. My poor dear Christine, do forgive me.
What do you mean, Nora?
Gently.
Poor Christine, you are a widow.
Yes. It is 3 years ago now.
Yes, I knew. I saw it in the papers. I assure you, Christine, I meant ever so often to write to you at the time, but I always put it off, and something always prevented me.
I quite understand, dear.
It was very bad of me, Christine. Poor thing, how you must have suffered. And he left you nothing.
No.
And no children.
No.
Nothing at all, then.
Not even any sorrow or grief to live upon.
Looking incredulously at her.
But, Christine, is that possible?
Smiles sadly and strokes her hair.
It sometimes happens, Nora.
So you are quite alone. How dreadfully sad that must be. I have 3 lovely children. You can't see them just now, for they are out with their nurse. But now you must tell me all about it.
No, I want to hear about you.
No, you must begin. I mustn't be selfish today. Today I must only think of your affairs. But there is one thing I must tell you. Do you know we have just had a great piece of good luck?
No, what is it?
Just fancy, my husband has been made manager of the bank.
Your husband? What good luck?
Yes, tremendous. A barrister's profession is such an uncertain thing, especially if he won't undertake unsavory cases, and naturally Torvald has never been willing to do that, and I quite agree with him. You may imagine how pleased we are. He is to take up his work in the bank at the New Year, and then he will have a big salary and lots of commissions. For the future we can live quite differently. We can do just as we like. I feel so relieved and so happy, Christine. It will be splendid to have heaps of money and not need to have any anxiety, won't it?
Yes, anyhow, I think it would be delightful to have what one needs.
No, not only what one needs, but heaps and heaps of money.
Smiling.
Nora, haven't you learned sense yet? In our school days you were always a great spendthrift.